Good evening everyone and welcome to the SMM versus SDM event. This is event 2A and 2B, and event 2A is the first one up, and we of course be taking the GT3's around the legendary Red Bull Ring. My name is James Head, taking you through the action as per last week around Laguna Seca in the Shelby Cobras. We now move on of course to event 2A, which is the GT3's, and both teams have selected one manufacturer each to race with here tonight. So as you can see, with Tice showcasing off a beautiful side max delivery, they are running the Lexus. The Lexus is a very good car around this track. I've been trying around here just before we came live here on the channel, and Tice and Swift currently filling out the top two positions within practice so far, but remains to be seen what qualification is going to be like. 10 minutes of qualifying of course, and then a 40-minute race to whet your appetite in event 2A, and then event 2B will follow shortly after, and that will be of course in the GT4's. And just to come on as well to the SDM choice of car, SMM of course running with the Lexus, and in the for the SDM team, it is the Chevrolet Corvette. So the Corvette's very good, nice car to run around this track. Probably not as quick as the Lexus, if I've got to be honest. So I think Sidemax might have a bit of an advantage off there. But it's going to be fascinating to see how these guys get on out on track here tonight. We are about 5 minutes before the start of qualifying, as Viper has just joined the room. So it looks like there was a little bit of uncertainty actually between Viper and Trevor, who's obviously the team captain of SDM. Viper has turned up quite late on. We were going to be expecting 6 drivers for SDM, but all 7 drivers are here now for SDM, and it's going to be fascinating to see how these guys get on. And actually, I've just clicked on SDM now have 8 drivers within the lobby, which is 1 more than given, and Viper was part of the team. I'm not sure who he's been replaced by originally, but it's going to be fascinating nonetheless to see how everyone does out on track. And to spice things up even more, event 2B is the GT4's at the Red Bull Ring, and that's going to be a reverse grid race of 20 minutes in length. So it's going to be fascinating to see, and there's going to be rain. So there's going to be rain, and it's my first wet commentary actually around here at the Red Bull Ring. I normally race around in numerous different GT Sport leagues, but it's going to be fascinating to see, from my perspective anyways, how these guys cope in wet conditions. I've been talking to some of the sidebacks guys just before we came live as well, and they say that the wet conditions is going to be a real challenge for all drivers out on track tonight. And yeah, Tice asking the question that I've just asked really, why does SDM have 8 drivers within the lobby? Somebody has to leave, otherwise it'll be a very unfair playing field for the competition between both for both teams. And we should really have been informed about 24 hours beforehand rather than 5 minutes beforehand that SDM were going to have a change in their driver lineup. But everyone here, there are 14 drivers as you can see out on track, Viper being the exception rather than the rule, and there is Tice there into the pit lane just coming out. And of course these guys will be running the set of soft compound of tyre early on. Fuel wear and tyre wear are on ×3 I do believe within the settings, and in fact I shall go out to spectator mode and show you the lobby settings that we do have here tonight. So 16 participants obviously, 7 drivers for each team. The Red Bull Ring, it is a 1:15 sunny, 40 minutes time length. There is a grid start with full start check as well, and there you can see the tyre wear and the fuel depletion on 3 times. With the race finish delay, I think, needing to be extended. I don't think everyone's going to finish within 30 seconds. So if Tice is listening on, that might just have to be extended slightly. I would say about 60 seconds would be perfect, I think, for these guys, because we literally, well, we got to the end of the race last time out, of course, at Laguna Seca, where Palmer won by an absolute street. And then we had about 5 drivers cross the line, and then everyone else didn't. So yeah, but the race finish delay I think just needs to be extended slightly for that to be improved and for everyone to get across the line. Let's get back out on track though and see who is going to be setting the quickest times. And it's actually looking quite close because Swift is out on top currently within practice. He looks like he's improving on this lap. Across the line, he goes 28.2. He improves slightly, 28.2. Viper looks like he is in the race, so Perked Up has left the lobby. So that is a very, very late driver change, 3 minutes before the start of the race. Makes you wonder whether SDM have got all the right mindset here tonight. But Swift out on top. Black in second for SDM. Formula March in third as well. Marcello, of course, in third. And I've been given a lesson on how to pronounce his name as well. I was given that by Tice beforehand, and hopefully we're going to be seeing the drivers come in because Splash has now just left the room and we have got 2 minutes. So SDM now back down to 6 drivers currently as it stands, and I'm just going to get Discord up to really get that pronunciation right. There's Marcello. Splash has just joined, might be having connection issues or might be having a lobby glitch slightly, but we are live. And good evening to everyone that is tuning in tonight, and it's going to be a real interesting race here. We have got, of course, SMM versus SDM, but also I think more individual prizes are going to be up here tonight for grabs. Black has gone quicker than Swift by 1,000th of a second, 28.210 for Black, and he goes a 1,000th quicker than Swift, and Swift comes into the pit lane. You can see the guys just getting a late practice in, and that is not the line that Swift does want to be taking coming into the pit lane. Definitely not. Palmer just getting out of the way there of Hair Razor. And you can already see the marbles actually taking effect around the outside line. Nobody wants to get onto the outside line coming through turn 3 there, because it's going to be a real hassle, I think, with these cars, especially the Lexus, because the Lexus tends to oversteer out of the corner. Hopefully we'll get everyone to enter. I'm spectating on, so we're all fine. And then hopefully we're going to be underway in just a minute's time, less than a minute to go until the official start of this event, where we get into a 10-minute qualifying session and then a 40-minute race. Good evening to Sharon Palmer tuning in there in the chat, and to Boo Fushidara. Bo, of course, racing last week for Sidemax, did a good job, I think, finishing in 6th overall. And he is supporting Hair Razor and Doug, so we've got a little bit of a turncoat, I fear, within the team. But I think best of luck, to be honest, to Bo. Obviously, race for everyone out on track. There is a little bit of a problem, I think. Splash might have reported that he can't see everyone out on track, so we might be delayed slightly on the start. Viper just needs to enter, and then we'll be good to go. And it's going to be a real interesting event to see how this race really unfolds out on track. And just for the record, I can see 14 drivers on my screen, and that is everyone out on track. 15, of course, because I am within the lobby as well, so that's what everyone is reporting out on track. So don't be stressed that there is going to be a rogue driver within the race. It's not. It is definitely going to be me. But here we go then, as Swift comes across the line. The qualifier is about to begin, dead on 6 o'clock, and we are ready for 10 minutes worth of qualifying here out on track. And who's going to be the first driver to leave the pit lane, I wonder? It looks like it might be Tice, as we are beautifully riding on board with him at the end of the pit lane here. And you'll see him shoot out of this chute coming through turn 1, and he'll appear right into camera shot as Tice is now the first one out on track. 10 minutes in length, this qualification, so everyone got to get on, move on really if they want to set as many laps as possible on their times. And it tends to be the case actually where drivers would improve lap upon lap, and it's going to be fascinating to see, as I will just jump out of spectate mode slightly and ride on board with the guys out on track. And there is the inside cockpit view of Tice's car, looking lovely on the dashboard. You can see the dashboard actually within kilometres an hour, mile an hour of course on my end. It's about 140 mile an hour, and now Sidemax have got a little bit of a challenge because they're going to try and use up and waste a lot more fuel. They're going to try and do high revs on this formation lap, so that they try and waste that fuel away so that they can set the quicker lap time. The Lexus, a very quick car, of course, up against the Corvette. Doug is the first one out on track for SDM, so we'll follow both of them respectively through their laps, but we are now on board with Tice as we now run onto broadcast cam once again, and the Dutchman going to be setting about onto his lap very shortly indeed, getting the tyres warmed up, as now I will bring out the formidable track map. 10 turns around this track, 6 to the right and 4 to the left, and it's going to be fascinating to see how these guys get on. But Tice Round the final corner, let's ride on board then for a lap of the Red Bull Ring as he comes out of the Red Bull Mobile turn 10 and now on the run up towards Castrol Edge at turn 1. So Tice then braking just off the 100-metre board, turns in very thinly to the line, runs out wide, could pick up a penalty for that, maybe a 5/10 penalty coming his way, and now up the hill towards the kink at turn 2 and then towards Remus at turn 3 at the top of the hill and towards the end of the first sector split, and his first sector split is a 22.4 out on track. You see the elevation change as he comes up the hill and now through turn 3, and then on the run down towards Schloss Gold. It is going to be a very hard pronunciation for me, that corner, but we'll just call it turn 4. So he now runs down towards turn 4, heavy hill braking zone. You can ride on board now with the driver, and Tice really brakes. You can see it just dips away from the car coming through turn 4 and then on the run through turn 5 and then towards turn 6. Formidably on Formula 1 you can get the move done around the outside through there. If anybody is brave enough in these cars, then I'd give them a 5 straight off the bat. Don't quote me later on in the comment section, by the way, with that, as now Tice comes through the middle sector split, 1 off 1.5. I think we're going to see improvements, of course, on these laps. But Tice now round through the final 2 corners towards 9 and 10 at Rint and the Red Bull Mobile right-hander through turn 10, taking as wide a line as possible. 3rd gear through there, ups it to 4th, and then downs it into 2nd to meet the chicane, meet the right-handed curb there. Don't want to catch it on the sleeping policeman, but now Tice toward the line, and it's a 1:28.5. Swift is improving though ahead of them, and he goes quickest with a 1:28.4. Dug across the line with the second penalty, 1:30.2. Would have been a 1:29.2 if it wasn't for that penalty. Splash next across the line goes 3rd with a 29.4. Then Iron Cobra, then Hair Razor round the final corner. He's got Ethan Graham, Rotary, to the left-hand side of him. And Rotary comes to the line, across the line and goes 3rd. Palmer across the line goes 4th. 2.5 tenths off, so it seems like SMM really getting drilled in with their Lexuses so far. Top 5 are SMM, it's Swift, Tice, Rotary, Palmer, Yera. Splash currently 6th, Iron Cobra 7th, Doug in 8th, Hair Razor 9th, Formula March in 10th, and he's going to improve. I think he might have got held up by Viper, and I can see actually a bit of lag possibly from Viper's end, so that might be concerning moving forward. Keelan into the pit lane, he is replacing Will Murdoch, who was due to attend. Keelan coming in as a reserve for Sidemax, and he's a very good driver on his day. Former commentator alongside me as well, back in the day as well. T5 Black across the line, one of the formidable opponents I think towards the SMM boys here tonight, so we'll ride on board with him for a lap again of the Red Bull Ring as he slides his way through turn 1. He's got Keelan just in front of him. He'll park off to the left hand side so that he can prioritise the run, and you can see coming on board now as we run on board with Black, nearly halfway through qualifying. Swift on top, Tice 2nd, Rotary 3rd at this stage. Not sure what the first sector split was for Black, but he comes out of turn 3 and then run down towards Schloss Gold at turn 4. We are of course in the Styrian mountain range here in Austria, and Austria actually made up of about 63% of 64% I think of Austria are made up of hills, so that is quite an interesting fact. And T5 Black coming through in 3rd gear there, running down the hill, trying to not run full throttle and full RPM as Palmer improves to a 28.3 and goes top ahead of Swift. Yera coming in as well with a 28.9. Hair Razor improving to a 29.9. As we see through the middle sector, Black is up 0.04 of a second. Can he put this Corvette on provisional pole with under 5 minutes to go in the session? Marcello has just gone into, not sure what position he's went into, but he's improved his time, 1:28.8. He's gone out of Yera, so I think that might be for 5th. As now Black rounds the final 2 corners out on track, catches the sleeping policeman, but that was lovely through there. Now Black to the line, can he beat his old rival Palmer from the SRS Motorsports League? No, he can't. He goes 5th ahead of Marcello, and Yera in 7th, Splash in 8th, inevitably going to try and improve. He's one of the first drivers on to a lap again. We're on board though with Swift, who is a 10.5 off now on Palmer, but Palmer top, Swift 2nd, Tyson 3rd, Rotary moving up into 4th with Black in 5th, Marcello 6th, Yera 7th, Splash in 8th. You can see there Swift making a run into the pit lane. The driver briefing happened just before we came live, and the guys, if they run over the red and white lines coming into the pit lane, what looks like a triangle, if they run over that, they might be given a penalty for track extension into the pit lane. So it's going to be quite interesting to see if anybody does do that as they come into the pit lane. On the exit of the pit, it's not too bad, but you don't want to be picking yourself up a rogue 10-second time penalty for crossing those white lines. Yeah. is into the pit lane as well. Spaniard, former SLM champion back in the day, he's running the Lexus, of course, for Side Max, and he is into the pit lane with 3 minutes and 20 seconds to go. But we shall ride on board with, just trying to find somebody that might be on a lap. Oh, Black is improving again. He's purple in this middle sector. We'll see if he commits to the pit lane. No, he's going to commit for another lap. So Black now through the final corner. Purple in the middle sector, trying to aim fire at Palmer. Now, Black to the line. Goes second, 800ths off, and that is more like it from the SDM driver. Keelan set to 28.8 and moves up to 6th ahead of Marcello and Yera, so that's a good performance so far from Keelan as a reserve driver. Marcello just coming out the pit lane. Good to see the respect between these drivers. No holding up, no tactics, as we see Black pick up a 5-10 penalty there. But we'll run on board with Palmer, who is just fresh out the pit lane. And he now runs through the middle sector, and in fact he's responding. 2/10 of a second. I don't think he came into the pit lane, so 2/10 of a second is the improvement here for Palmer. He is going to try and dominate once again from the front, and GT3's are his speciality as he now comes through the final 2 corners. And Palmer reaching, and he's into the pit lane. He jukes me into the pit lane. That's the first and probably not the last time anybody will do that to me here tonight. But Swift is just started a lap. We've got Tice on a lap just ahead of him as well, just running wide there through turn 1. Here's a 29.5 improving up, and Tice has picked up a 5-10 penalty. Knew he run wide there, didn't think he would run that wide, as Iron Cobra now picks up a 28.8, so he's improved. And now Tice, I think, could give possibly a run to, as he slides his way out of turn 3, now on the run down towards turn 4. He could give Swift a little bit of a run in behind him, and I think he is. He's going to serve the rest of his penalty, which you are allowed to do in qualifying, not in the race, as now Swift gives, Tice gives Swift a little bit of a run down in towards turn 4. Very braking zone, and slides the car through there. I don't think this is a great lap, to be honest, from Swift with that slight mistake, but we'll see across the rest of the lap through turn 5 and then through turn 6 out on track, as we see him now with a 10th.5 to find basically on Palmer, and he's up by 600ths of a second. Purple in the middle sector by 6900ths of a second. Don't get at me in the chat for saying that, as now Swift comes up towards turns 9 and 10, running about 60 litres of fuel, I think, currently in that car. Oh, he cuts his corner coming through turn 9 and now through turn 10. That's inevitably going to be a 5-10 penalty. He'll try and floor it to the line, but I don't think he's going to improve on this lap. Yeah, 1.5 second penalty. He's not going to set another time, I don't think. Black improving middle sector. Palmer fresh out the pit lane. We'll run on board them with Black, who is going to be a potential pole setter. We'll run on board with him through broadcast cam now as he comes now through turn 6, the left-hander. Then through 7 and 8. We'll see him through the middle sector, and he's up by nearly 3/10 of a second. So as these guys get on, as Yera goes up to 6th with a 28.6, inevitably you will see improvements in behind. I think Tice is on the lap as well, just in behind Black, and now Black comes now down in towards turn 9 and 10 in front of the famous Bull at the Red Bull Ring, and now through turn 10 as we see driver running wide down the background. Red sets a 29.9. That's the first lap, I think, of his session. Black across the line doesn't improve. So now pressure on. Swift not on a lap. Tice is on a lap. Keelan improves to 28.4. Nice up there. Viper 40.2. Well down the back of the field. Comes to show us lack of practice really coming into play there. So now Tice runs through the middle sector. Let's see his split. Oh, he's a 10th up. But that doesn't mean he will find time in the final sector, as proven there by Black on his last lap around. Qualifying is nearly at an end. Marcello has improved to 28.6. Very close here in qualifying, I've got to be honest, between the two teams and individually as well, as now Tice comes through the turn 9 and then through turn 10 out on track. Can he land himself on pole position possibly? We've gone board with Rotary by mistake, but now Tice races to the line. Can he go ahead of Palmer? Yes, he can! But is Palmer improving? Out on track, he's coming through now, turns 9 and 10, runs wide, coming through turn 9, then through turn 10, really got to floor it now to the line. He's a 10th.5 down on Tice's time. Can he improve ahead of Tice? Yes, by a 10th. Anybody else improving? Keelan went 4th, Swift to the line, not improving. Yera across the line, not improving. Marcello is done as well. Splash is done, Iron Cobra done, Doug is done as well. Hellraiser, Reds is on a lap, and I think we've got Viper on a lap there as well, but Red's now through the final corner. There's a yellow flag just parking off there. Not sure who that might be, but Red's now to the line, will improve, and he goes 12th. and he's only 9/10 off Palmer. But out on top, we'll just see who that car is parked off. That is Rotary parked off out on track. He will have to come across the line, but with 10 seconds to go at the end of qualifying, Palmer out on top by 1/10 of a second, Tyson second, and Black 3.5 tenths off the front two, and it could be a very similar story to what we could see from Laguna Seca. Here we go then, 40 minutes worth of action at the Red Bull Ring for the Group 3's. And of course, remember, the Group 4's in Event 2B will be coming up shortly after this. There will be interviews, of course, after this race, and you can see the red stripes of the Sidemax team. Palmer, Tice, Black, Keelan, very good performance from him in fourth. Reserve driver coming into tonight, but we are about to get underway. There's not going to be any 5 red lights coming on. We have to preempt the start, but we are going to get underway for round 2. Event 2A of the SMM versus SDM event, and we're lights out and away we go. Palmer gets a very good start, so does Black though, and he's already gone past Tice on the road towards turn 1. Bit of a shocking start further down the field. Looked like that might have been for Rotary, who's dropping down the field. But now through turn 1, looking through, everyone's safely through, which is good to see. Iron Cobra down in 14th, a little bit of a glitch there for Palmer, and Black are side by side. Where have we seen this before in SRS? Palmer and Black. Black now to the outside line, coming up the hill in towards turn 3. Palmer on the inside line. He's going to have to stick his nose in if he wants this. And now Palmer, beautifully done, retakes the lead of the race, but it's still side by side. We watch on board. Then with Tice's point of view, if we can, I'm just going to briefly quicken out of spectate cam, and then we'll run on board with Tice, as he's now on the back. Black has got the lead from Palmer, and now down into the hill braking zone of turn 4. Black takes the lead. Palmer lagging about, shuffling up slightly in turn 4, but he's still in second. Titan third, Swift in fourth. Keelan has dropped a position to 5th. Splash has got up into 6th. Good performance and good start from him. Reds is up to 7th as well. March in 8th. Rotary 9th. Viper down the inside. Can he get the move done on Yera? Don't think he can. Yera's gone back down the inside of him, and now Viper to the outside line. Nearly contact there with Hair Razor. Iron Cobra and Doug right at the back of the field, but Black has got a 2/10 lead, running up the hill for the first time. And roughly we're going to be expecting about 24 laps, I think, in terms of the action here out on track. It could be a little bit more than that, so don't trust me on that. We will see pit stops, of course, during the race. But Black leads, but Palmer is putting the pressure on already as we now ride on board with Palmer as he switches to the inside line. Now coming up towards turn 1, up the hill, in towards the Castrol Edge. Oh, and Palmer has a bit of a half spin, recovers the car well. Tice is now through and he's up into second. Very good, but Swift picks up a 5/10 penalty as well. Keelan back in 5th, Splash in 6th. Red's now up to 7th. Rotary down to 8th and has got Marcello right on the back of him as well. Running up the hill, the two Sidemax boys want to stay in position, and they do. They're staying in position for now. Yera down in 10th. Viper, Hair Razor, Doug. Iron Cobra now down to the back of the field. Must have made a mistake, but Black is away. 7.5 tenths, and that mistake from Palmer dropped them to 3rd, and that was brought Tyson to play into 2nd. So very good start by everyone out on track. No collisions to report, which is good to see, and Black leads. But the priority will be for these Sidemax boys to pick up as many points as possible. They've got a big advantage coming into the second round here, and of course points are available for all 14 positions, I do believe, within the event. As now we see a purple middle sector for Tice coming through that middle sector, and Black slightly quicker, 6.5 tenths the lead from Tice in 2nd, Palmer in 3rd. Now Palmer has got the run on his teammate running up the hill. Don't think he's going to go for the move up in towards turn 9. A little bit of a shuffling bout again from Palmer, but looking very nice indeed. Swift there in 4th, Keelan hassling them in 5th. Red's getting a little bit sideways there in the background as well, with Rotary trying to chase him down. But it looks like Palmer and Tice could do a switcheroo up towards turn 1. Looking quite close. And there will be team orders, of course, I'm sure, from these guys. So now we come through turn 1 once again and up the hill towards turn 3. At this point in Formula 1 there will be DRS enabled, but not in the GT3 cars, certainly not in the GT4's either, as now Palmer switches to the left hand side as Tice picks up a 5/10 penalty. Palmer is through and he's up into 2nd position. Tyson 3rd, Swift in 4th. Keelan nearly, very late on the brakes, nearly careening into the back of his teammate there, but Splash in 6th. Red's in 7th. Red's running an alternative livery, it seems, to the guys out on track. Oh, and there's a spinner in the background. Not sure who that might have been. There was a car going sideways, and I'm not sure if that might have been one of the Sidemax cars or if that was one of the SDM cars. I saw somebody certainly go around nearly in the background. It could have been Doug possibly. He's lost a little bit of time to Hair Razor. Iron Cobra there in 14th, but now Black has pulled out the gap for a second. From Palmer in second, Tice in third, Swift in fourth. 5-10 penalty for Swift. He's got Keelan hassling all over the back of him early on, and currently it's another SMM domination. They might not be leading the race in terms of Black being out in front, but they are outscoring SDM, and that is the important factor here within the SMM versus SDM Event 2A as Black cuts the corner, coming through the final corner, loses him a little bit of time and loses a bit of a run, because Palmer now trying to get into the famed slipstream. Corvette very quick down the straight, even quicker in fact I think than the Lexus. We'll now run down towards turn 1. Reds and Rotary now having a fight, and Marcello looks like he's going to go on the inside line and hold on to P9. Yera was trying to get through I think, serving up his penalty, but now Rotary on the back of Reds. This is for 7th and 8th. Gumbo with Chase Cam running up the hill, and now we'll ride on board with him on bumper cam, and he's right on the back. I wish I could see, as now he flicks to the right hand side, does Reds, left hand side as Rotary on our camera angle, and Reds hangs on for now. Rotary getting all out of shape as well. Marcello into play as well, he could run onto the back. He's got the double toe running down the straight, but I don't think he's going to be close enough. We are, of course, in the Styrian mountain range. I, of course, am James Head taking you through the action. Oh, as Rotary gets very close to the back of Reds, and Reds might be struggling for a little bit of pace as Rotary looks all over the back of him here. Ethan Graham, of course, he's only 4.5 seconds off the pace. Reds doing a good job as well. Oh, and he careers into the back of him. And he sends him completely, of course, and Rotary now takes the position. I have a feeling, though, he might have to give that place back, because that was a tap right into the back, right into the rear of that Corvette. And unfortunately for Reds, he's lost the position, and Rotary might have to give that one back. It's certainly been caught on stream if the stewards want to have a look at it afterwards. As Reds, in fact, loses control of the car, runs out onto the marbles around through turn 9, and now gives Marcello a good run now down on the inside line, and a free position is picked up by the Lexus. Marcello is through, but Trevor Reds is going to come back down, possibly on the inside line in towards turn 1. He's got a 1.5 second penalty, which they have got to serve up, of course, up towards turn 3 out on track. And if they don't serve it up on towards turn 3, then they could be given a penalty, but it looks quite close for the lead of the race. Here comes Palmer, now on the back of Black, as we cut to the broadcast cam. Palmer sends it down the inside. Can the Lexus get it, can the Brick get it stopped? No, Black holds on for the lead of the race. Tice gets a better runner out of the 3 of them. Keelan now up to 4th, Swift in 5th, Splash in 6th, Rotary 7th, Marcello in 8th. That's the top 8 currently, is now Tice closing in on Palmer. Palmer respectively closing in on Black. Back within the slipstream, running down in towards turn 4 once again. 7 minutes gone. It's Black who leads, Palmer second, Tyson third, out on track here at the Red Bull Ring. And really on settling down, it's been a very good race so far from all of these guys. Hardly been any contact at all, and actually Palmer set the fastest lap of the race next time around. They were telling me earlier on that it might just take a couple of laps for the tyres to heat up and for them to set quicker lap times. Up to about lap 9 or lap 10 possibly the tyres will go up to, and then they'll begin to ebb away. But Palmer right on the back of Black, and this is a sight that we have seen plenty of times before, of course, where Trevor Reds has commentated, of course, on the action in the SRS Motorsports League. But now Palmer to the inside line. Is he going to repay the favour down the inside? No, he's not going to have the go up towards turn 1. He could have the run up towards turn 3. I think, honestly, he's just trying to pressurise Black into a bit of a mistake. And we're right on board now with bumper cam. He's going to have a tremendous run up the hill in towards turn 4. And you can see the mile an hour he's reaching already in excess of 140, 150 now. As he now switches to the inside line. Can he get the move done? He's purple in the first sector. He tries to get the car stopped. Oh, very close to contact. As now Black, Palmer, and there is Tice right and behind as well. The front 3 are separated by 0.3 of a second out on track. Palmer, can he go down the inside line? I don't think he's going to be close enough unless he channels his inner Daniel Ricciardo. No, he's not going to be close enough. Oh, and Tice very close to the back as well. Keelan and Swift running in formation. Keelan doing a very good job currently in 4th position out on track, and for limited experience within the Sidemax team, physically racing for the Sidemax team, he's doing a remarkable job. He's only 2.5 seconds off the pace, and easily after the front 3 battle, Keelan and Swift will begin to come into play. Rotary as well to the inside line now on Splash. Splash cuts the door shut, and Splash hangs on for P6 for now. Rotary in P7, Marcello there in P8. Oh, getting a bit of a sideways slap on there but Rotary cuts the inside line. He's not going to have to go on Splash. Splash now under pressure, and actually Splash is the second best driver for SDM out on track currently. Reds is the third best. He's down in 9th position there, you can see on the left hand side of your screen. But now Palmer getting very close once again to Black. He's almost just toying with Black in front of him. And we should see pit stops happen from around about half distance, probably just after half distance, probably 18 minutes to the end of the race. But now, once again, the Lexus tries to channel its speed up the hill and towards turn 3. I don't think Palmer is close enough this time around. And yes, he's not. And Black has completely overshot the corner, possibly. And now Palmer gets the run out. And now this is going to be possibly side by side. But the traction that Black gets from that little bit of camber off the corner, absolutely remarkable. And Palmer now right on the back. And with 10 minutes gone, it's Black who leads Palmer second, Tice in third. Tice again very late on the brakes. Keelan there in fourth, Swift in fifth, and now Splash trying to go around the outside of Rotary. Looks like Rotary had the position done, and now he does have the position done. So Ethan Graham, SMM Rotary up into sixth position, and Splash now down into seventh. And Marcello right on the back of these guys as well. So clearly there is a right set 2 going on here for sixth position. There's so much going on, I can only control the cameras at once. But now Marcello, tries to switch it down the inside line of Splash. Nearly puts him in to a little bit of a mistake there. But Splash doing a good job out on track, the Brit. And now he's been hunted down by the flying Italian stallion out on track. That's to give him his new nickname that I've just called him within commentary, Splash. Is right on the back, but Marcello is all over the back of him. And Swift currently, Rotary and Splash are fighting that for 5th, 6th and 7th out on track. Don't you guys think it would be super cool if SMM Palmer would win? Well, he won the last event. He won in the Shelby Cupboards, and now he's attacking for the race lead as we ride on board now. Up the hill and towards turn 3. Black to the outside line. Palmer down the inside line. Back to the late breakers. Again, Palmer up in the first sector, but Black gets a good run out of turn 3. Palmer gets a better run though, and he could have him down the straight. Down in towards turn 4. Can he possibly try and get the move done? I would love to see the Hairy Doug 1-2 just for the comic value of calling them that forevermore. Well, you never know. The impossible could happen here within the SMM versus SDM event, but Black does lead, Palmer second, Tyson third, and we are aiming towards about a 24-lap race, I think, in terms of the action out on track. I know that we got spoken about in the briefing, or just before we came live actually. I think for the sprint race, for the 20-minute race in the GT4's in the wet, it's going to be about 12 laps. So I'm taking it as a double, so it'll be about 24, 25 laps, I think, we'll get out in terms of the event. Tice there in third, Swift now in fourth. Keelan must have made a mistake, so now Swift has really disposed of him, 1.3 seconds gap. Keelan in fifth, Rotary in sixth. Marcello now up to seventh, so we've missed the move there with the Italian getting past the Brit. So Marcello through and he's up into 7th position. I wish I had the replay cams to go back. Red's there in 9th, Viper in 10th, Hellraiser in 11th. Yera down in 12th position, having an awful time of things so far, normally quite quick. Is Yera, but he's really under the cosh now from Iron Cobra, and Iron Cobra closing in down the straight, trying to break the slipstream. He's weaving down the straight. I wonder if there's been a little bit of contact possibly between them both. But Yera through turn 1, Iron Cobra through turn 1 as well, runs out wide, back on board with the leader. As Black leads, getting all out of shape though. Palmer trying to run down again. Black, just the exit of the corner. Black is a little bit shoddy, but he gets that run off the corner, and it's the second phase of where he actually breaks off the corner where he gets that real good traction, and that forces Palmer to try and catch back up, and he's 3.5 tenths clear, nearly 4 tenths clear now, Black, from Palmer. Tyres is dropping off, might be fuel saving slightly, he might be saving and conserving the tyres as well. Clearly doesn't want to get involved in the Black-Palmer battle out in front. Further down the field, Splash tries to switch it back on the inside line through turn 7, and now coming through turn 6 that was, now through 7 and 8, they are fighting for 7th position out on track, and now Splash cuts the inside line. Can he get the move done? Corvette against the Lexus. Of course, these guys running in both similar cars, both running different manufacturers, and Splash tries to go all the way around the outside of turn 9. There's been a phenomenal move, he cuts it off, he doesn't, and Marcello into the pit lane. Splash, I don't think, was caught out wide there. Not going to be sure if that gets investigated at all, but Splash will very much feel hard done by. He's got Reds now over the back of him, who is crawling, quite literally crawling over the back of him out on track. But Palmer with a 5/10 penalty. Obviously ran wide through turn 1. He's serving that penalty up now. It disposes Black into about a second lead, running up the hill in towards turn 3. So Black leads. We're nearly 15 minutes of the way through here in this first race. There is another race to come in the GT4's later on, and it is going to be a full wet race. So stay tuned for that one on the SRS channel. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, tick that notification bell if you are new. Rotary right on the back here of Keelan. This is an inter-team side max battle for 5th and 6th. Rotary going to try and pull to the inside line. No, I think they're just going to stay in formation and try and break the heart of Splash and Reds in behind. Yevra's now made his way up into 11th, and Marcello, who came into the pit lane with that little bit of a collision with Splash, he came out right at the back of the field, so it's about, I would say, a 17-18 second pit stop around here from actually entry into the pit lane to fueling up and then getting going once again. And Marcello actually has under fuel, might go for Splash and Dash, so he's on an alternative strategy. As now Black comes around the final corner and is 1.7 seconds out in front. Palmer in. So Palmer into the pit lane. Tice is in as well. So the Side Max team look like they're coming in. Swift is in, Keelan in, and Rotary in. So all Side Max boys are in, apart from Marcello, who is still out there. I think Yevra as well. Got a little bit of a glitch on with the graphics, but there is Palmer. Now, coming out towards the pit lane. Let's see how much he fuels up. If it's anything like Marcello, he'll fuel up to about 70 litres. He's actually fueled up to about 60 litres. So clearly going for a bit of a two-stop strategy. He's going to come out in perfect air, actually, with Reds just in front of him, and Palmer rejoins in P4, and he's 14 seconds off the back of Black. So keep that gap in mind. 14 seconds, just over 14 seconds is the gap. As now Tice is under pressure from Hairraiser, as Hairraiser sails on by with the overspeed. Tice just fresh out the pit lane, going to try and get him down the inside line, has to switch for the switchback coming out of turn 3's on fresher tyres, lower fuel as well. Hairraiser carries, but Tice tries to close on down the straight. Yevra as well. I think he hasn't been into the pit lane just yet. He hasn't. So Tice now on a fresh set of softs. Oh, he's going to go careering into the back of him if he's not careful. Switches to the inside line. Hairraiser nearly forced him into a mistake, and now they're side by side. He's right on board now with Yevra for this, as they nearly touch. Bit of wheel banging going on between the Corvette and the Lexus, as now the Dutchman tries to go all the way around the outside through turn 6 out onto the marbles. Can he get the move done? He'll prioritise the traction now through turn 7. Hairraiser still there on the outside line, but it's not good enough, and Tice is through, and now Yevra sails on by as well and is ahead of Hairraiser. So good tactics there from the Side Max boys. Tice now through to 6th. Yevra going a lap longer, and he's got ahead, crucially, of Hairraiser for position in his own battle, and both of them stay out for another lap. Black staying out in front. 23 minutes left to go, so we're nearly 17 minutes the way through here in this first race. Splash there in second, Red's in third, but Red's really under pressure. You can see he's picked up a 6/10 penalty. Must have been a second or a second and a half penalty he picked up. Have a feeling he might get another 5/10 added onto that running up the hill. He will have to serve it down in the inside line coming through turn 3. If he doesn't, he's obviously feeling committed enough. He has to go to the right-hand side and essentially serve up his penalty. He cannot serve his penalty running down the hill. That's what was explained within the briefing. Not sure if he misheard that, but now pulls off to the right-hand side. Is he going to serve up his penalty here? No, he's still continuing on with that penalty. So the stewards are definitely going to have a look at this, as Palmer tries to sail it now down the inside line, gets a much better run, but Reds gets a much better exit and is held on for P3 for now. Viper in the background there, trying to defend off Tice. Tice is on the back, 4/10 behind. Of course, we will have interviews after this first race as well, as Palmer really fights Reds out onto the marbles. Job done for Palmer. He disposed of him very easily indeed, and Tice tries to dispose of the other Holden brother out on track, and it's Tice now on the back of Viper. Viper, I think, is pulling to the the right-hand side of the track, possibly to come into the pit lane. Might unsettle Tice. Tice just as careful, and Viper it's forced out to the outside. Oh no, tries to cut across, and I think actually Viper might have been coming across into the pit lane there, if I'm not mistaken, and Tice was on the inside line of him, and the hazard lights go on to say, I am sorry for that, that was my fault. And Tice now held up slightly, but he's still on the back of Viper. This is for P5 out on track. So almost a split strategy here for the Corvette and the Lexus, and Tice surely should have the run up in towards turn 3. He'll deploy what was going to be the DRS down the straight, but he will deploy that speed of the Lexus try and cut to the outside line. Viper trying to cut across into the braking zone has completely overbroke himself. And Tice, like the party on the Red Sea down the curve, Viper spins. Nothing he could do about that. Hairraiser is also off with a spin similarly as well. But Viper round, he's not going to be happy with that one. But if I've got to be honest, nothing you can do about that. Tice had to run down the inside line, parting of the Red Sea, off the camber of the corner. It looked like Viper just got a little bit sideways, and that is now job done for Tice, and he's up into 5th position, with Viper falling all the way down into 13th position. Iron Cobra really struggling out on track, has fueled up to 100 litres it seems, and he now commits towards the end of the race. Hairraiser as well, with that spin, really overrunning the tyres on the rears. But Black out in front, still going out on track. Splash, I think, will come into the pits possibly this lap. He doesn't. He's going to pit into the race, into the pit lane next lap, as we ride on board now with Palmer. Palmer chases down for P3 out on track. Yera as well has got Keelan all over the back of him, and Keelan now, ooh, thought he was going to switch the inside line there on the Spaniard and gets a much better run out there, does Keelan, and that is job done. That is Keelan through, and he's up into 7th position, passing his teammate. I think Yera's not going to be really happy with that one, because Keelan is through, and he's up into P7 out on track, and now they chase down Doug out on track as well. Palmer just ahead is chasing down Splash, still 1.3 seconds. Keelan then on the back of Doug, and look at the speed. Doug has got a penalty, so it's up right in front actually of Keelan, and Keelan just having to be aware, but Keelan is now through, and he's up into P6. There's Doug in P7. Swift in 8th, and now actually Rotary right on the back now. Swift, is right on the back of Doug. I thought it was Rotary, but it's not. It's Swift right on the back of Doug, running down the straight. Doug in that Corvette has just got the power to try and maintain it down towards turn 4. Rotary has to go to the outside line. Can Ethan Graham get past on Doug Barrow to the inside line? Oh, it's going to be tight, you know. Is he going to try it around the outside through turn 6 if the gap forfeits itself? No, Doug hangs on for position as we now take the chase cam pretty much to the side of the track. Oh, Rotary running miles out wide there. Black is into the pit lane though from the lead of the race, so the pit crew are ready for him, and he's got 11 litres of fuel left in that car. And do you know what? I think this is a Black masterclass of a strategy, to be honest. Splash now into the pit lane. Palmer is only coming past the pit lane, and there is Black. Black is going to filter in behind him in second, but crucially, he's going to be carrying more fuel, and I think Palmer is committed possibly to a 2-stop, as Black now commits to the end of the race, 93 litres of fuel, and Side Max possibly running a good strategy in the short term. Longer term, however, it's going to be quite close. The Swift will try and get the overspeed now on Black. I don't think he's going to be close enough on the back, and now we see a bit of a Side Max train happening. Marcello closing in on the back of Rotary, running up the hill in towards turn 3. And again, not going to be close enough out on track. Really hope you guys are enjoying the action, by the way. I'm trying to keep up with as much action as possible out on track. And of course, the GT4's will be happening after this race. But hopefully, we're going to be seeing some good action out on track here tonight. Rotary doing a very good job out on track. He's on the back of Swift, and currently, remember, he's adapted from Project Cars 2. He was running within CRC, a league that I used to commentate on Project Cars 2. He was running within that, and now has swapped from Project Cars 2 to GT Sport. So any refinement of his driving style will still be needed, I think, going forward. Longer term, he's going to be the all-finished product, I think. He's on the back of Swift currently. They're running in formation. They're trying to catch Black just ahead of him as well. Keelan 1.7 seconds ahead of Black as well for P3. But Palmer, Tice, Keelan currently are top 3 out on track. Palmer and Tice on the same level of fuel. Keelan running probably a lap more than the guys ahead. It's now Black. We've got blue flags out on track. Not sure what that's for. I think that might be a bit of a glitch. Let's have a look what's happening further down the field. Not much is happening further down the field. The SDM boys are well spread out. Here comes Swift on the back of TSR T5 Black. T5 Black will be really trying to find the best braking point possible in that Corvette. Same with the Lexus. And Swift, having a bit of a moment coming out of there. And Black, in that second phase of the exit of the corner, again, just prioritises the run through, and he's now through, still in P4, trying to hunt down Keelan, who's run a very good race so far. But Black, I think, and Swift launches it! Down the inside line, there's contact. Swift going for the inside line. Really was a gap that was closing, and Black hangs on for position, but Swift, knowing how he normally drives, he likes to try and pull off a move like that, and he might just have to wait a lap longer to try and pull that off. He's bringing Rotary and Marcello along with him. Splash on a completely different strategy, recently into the pit lane, could undercut some of these Sidemax guys further up the field, but now Swift pulls to the inside line, surely not through turn 9. Swift to the inside line, Black around the outside line, and Swift again catches on the grass, could give Rotary now the run. These guys are going to be held up slightly, possibly in behind, but I think for the team effort, they're going to just hang on in position and stay in formation for now. As Swift picks up a 5-10 penalty, that will now release, I think, Rotary and Marcello, because they haven't got any penalties unless they pick up one through turn 1. Marcello very late on the brakes, nearly taps the back of Rotary. But goodness me, out on track, fantastic stuff, as Black now gets closed down once again by Swift, and Swift has got to serve up this 5-10 penalty, of course, and serves it up to the left-hand side. And I think stays in position, actually, because Rotary's down the inside line of him. A little bit of hesitation, possibly a little bit of a breakdown in communication slightly there, but Rotary is through. Swift just serving up the penalty in front of the two teammates and loses the position, and I think, a little bit of feathering the throttle there, and I think actually Marcello is just going to let him through into second position. Again, after you, sir. Swift then on the back of Rotary. They seen T5 Black get away. Keelan's actually pulled out the gap because he's running less fuel than Black and behind. He has pulled out the gap by about 0.4 of a second. As always, though, in these events, it is Palmer who is dominating out on track. 3.4 seconds the gap out on track. We're going to get more than 24 laps, by the way, in terms of the action. We could get beyond, I think, 26, 27 laps possibly now out on track. Now Palmer comes across. 1:28.1 is the current fastest lap of the race. That was set on lap 18. Tice there in second. There's Keelan in third, Black in fourth, Rotary in fifth, and now Swift has the run on his teammate. Is he going to try and think about the run then towards turn 1? No, gives him the bum tap, and they're working together, these sideback boys, to try and gain on Black. But I think the advantage, or the disadvantage I should say, is rather with the Sidemax boys, because Black is pulling away. That Corvette is now in clear air. Rotary in clear air cannot catch up. That Corvette is quick down the straights. They've got that geared up to absolute perfection. Or Black certainly has got that geared up to absolute perfection. Not sure about the rest of the Sidebacks team. The SDM team, I should say, out on track. But doing a really good job, all of these guys. And you've got to commend these guys as well out on track. There's nothing really happening further down the field. So we're just focusing on this inter-team battle, whatever you like to call it, catching up on the back of Black. As Swift is all out of control coming through turn 4. Marcello gives him the love tap of life and puts him back, possibly within the DRS range, the slipstream for range of Rotary. That's me and my F1 commentaries coming into play there, I think, with that. Yeah, Rotary, Bo and Josh Perkins in the comments section saying, not sure why he stayed online. Yeah, it's a bit weird. I think, honestly, these guys have got to serve up their penalties on the same lap. So these guys, as now Swift comes into the pit lane, runs wide, it's very difficult to steer that car in coming into the pit lane, but Swift is in. I think Marcello might have followed him in as well. Swift has got 5 litres more than Marcello, and these guys now commit 2 stop to the end of the race. So Splash and Dash, probably going to run just over 50 litres of fuel, I think, to get to the end of this race. Yeah, but coming back onto that, it is a little bit weird to see drivers online serving up their penalties that can easily go offline. It was given in the driver's briefing, certainly, that they should move offline if there's a driver behind them to try and give the fairest possible run. As now Marcello comes out the pit lane, that is Doug, I think, just coming out behind him. It's not, it's Reds actually coming out behind him, who comes into the slipstream. I don't think he'll need the slipstream, to be honest, because he's got the overspeed. And Reds, who has already been into the pit lane, remember, is now through on Marcello and is up into 8th position. And you would imagine with those the battles out on track, as Reds has got a penalty, I think, which we can't see. So I'm not sure. We'll have a look at the live timing though and see how these guys are getting on in terms of sectors. This is something that I want to focus on. Palmer with the fastest lap of the race, 28 flat. That was his best lap. His last lap was the fastest lap of the race as well, and has pulled 2/10 on that ahead of Tice. So that was a little bit of a brief look and analysis into the lap times. If you see, by the way, Palmer is into the pit lane from the lead of the race. Tice getting caught in the grass there, coming into the pit lane as well. Keelan will follow suit. No, actually, Keelan stays out front of the lap. He's got another lap of fuel, so he will inherit the race lead. But now, Palmer, there he is, into the pit lane. Black has already gone through on him, so Palmer now is going to have to play catch-up. And in these cars, I think, honestly, SDM might have outperformed, possibly, the guys out on track. Black certainly has outperformed these guys, because there is Black, and there is Palmer, just coming out the pit lane. Look at that, it's pretty much half the length of the straight between these guys, and I would say that gap is around 7 or 8 seconds by the time they get up towards turn 3. With Rotary, of course, still yet to come into the pit lane as well. He's now running on 10 litres of fuel. Keelan does lead the way, but you can see him possibly trying to short shift, trying to maintain as much fuel as possible for the end of this race. Keelan, of course, will be one of the secret weapons possibly to go. He will run about 50 litres of fuel, I think, to the end of this race. Probably a little bit less than that, actually. But you see now, Keelan really beginning to struggle. I'll be going for a break, by the way, and conduct the interviews, and then go for a break and refresh myself on a Lucozade drink that I've got alongside me. But these guys really hammering away at these cars, and as always within these endurance races, it likes to go a little bit stale, to be honest. Sprint racing and wet racing, though, coming up for in the GT4's is going to make things a hell of a lot fascinating out on track. Keelan then into the pit lane with 10 minutes to go. Rotary also in. Palmer has now got the gap to Black, and there is Black. And there is Palmer, and it's 7 seconds the gap. Expect that to come down. He's running more than 50 litres of fuel. Palmer, I would say, 5 litres or 6 litres less than Black currently out on track. You'll see it on the bottom left-hand side of your screen. Have a look with me now. Palmer is slower down the straight than Black, so the time will inevitably gain up in towards Black's favour. But down on the bottom left, you can see Palmer is pretty much on that 50 litre limit. That's the middle line you can see. Black, however, is just beyond that line. I think he's taking over about 2, 3, 4 litres, maybe more, than Palmer out on track. And with Palmer not running with anyone in front of him in terms of teammates, I'm sorry to say, I think Black has got him on this one. As Black does lead the way. 9 minutes to go here from this 40-minute race. This really has flown by, if I've got to be honest. Black does lead. There's Palmer in second, Tyson third, Keelan in fourth. Again, this is a team event, so it all matters with the teams. I'm focusing more on the individuals, of course, out on track as well. And Splash, currently second best of the SDM boys, and he again was the one that came in with Black. He's actually overcommitted slightly on his fuel. He's going to be running with about 15-20 litres of fuel left towards the end of the race. But more importantly, Splash has undercut the likes of Rotary, has undercut the likes of Swift, and now these guys in the Lexus are playing catch-up. But the advantage, I think, for Rotary and Swift is Splash now is going to have to try and commit his socks off that Corvette. The Lexus is going to be quick, and you can see it to good effect through the final quarter. Splash feels determined to try and break the toe, running down towards turn 1. Blue flags, ignore that down the straight. We see a little bit of a glitch there on the graphics. Rotary, though, on the back of Splash. And now 6/10 the margin between the Corvette and the Lexus. The Lexus just barely within that slipstream running up the hill. And currently as it stands, by the way, of course I will be conducting the top 3 interviews. The team captains will be coming in after race 2, so you won't miss that either. But Black, Palmer, Tice at this stage would be coming in for an interview and be rejoining me in this party after this race. But look at the gap now. Rotary, Splash, 3.5 tenths running down the hill in towards turn 4. And Rotary again. Let's get into the driver's mind. Let's see the steering of the car. And let's see Rotary really begin to put in the pressure with more fuel at his disposal. He's really closing up, and I've got to be honest, Splash looks here for the taking. There is Swift in behind. Beautiful run on board with the rear wing camera there. It's Rotary now. We only get 4 cameras, by the way, on GT Sports. I'm trying to flick through them as much as possible. Now we run on the chase camera. Now Rotary switches to the inside line, and now to the left-hand side will come Splash. Splash on the left-hand side of the camera shot. Rotary dives it down the inside. He's got the car fully ahead there. Brilliant move by Rotary down the inside line. Splash disposed of in a blinking of an eye, and that is how to make a move done. At turn 9 of all places, Rotary is through, and he's up into 5th, but look at the speed of the Corvette. Splash coming back now down the hill, up the hill and towards turn 1. But it's not close enough. He could be close enough up towards turn 3. Swift there in the background as well is getting closer, but Splash now is going to have a run at Rotary up the hill in towards turn number 3, the top of the hill, the highest point on the track here at the Red Bull Ring with 6 minutes to go. Rotary, I think, has overcommitted himself on the brakes. Can he get the car stopped? Yes, he can. He keeps the position somehow. I thought that was going to be inevitably Splash's position. It could still be, because here comes Splash now. We ride on board. Jason to the pit wall. Jason to the wall on the left-hand side. Splash down to the outside line. Rotary on the inside line. Splash barely ahead. Rotary cutting all the way to the curb. And Rotary again somehow hangs on, and Splash has been outgunned there. The Lexus using its might to absolute perfection, driving that car like an absolute tank, and he's through and he's up into P5, and now Swift is having to go on Splash, and Splash, I think, is now going to have to forfeit this position as well, because Swift is through down the inside line, and he's through and he's up into P6. So we see two Sidemax boys make a move on an SDM driver. How crucial is that in terms of the point scoring? We'll have a look, of course, after the second event, but Rotary in 5th, Swift now in 6th. That is the big talking point out on track. Looking further down the field, Iron Cobra and Viper having a bit of a battle, but that is an inter-team battle, really. Swift, though, and Splash are still going at it. Splash has still got the speed up the hill and towards turn 1. You can see how different in the lines they take with 5 minutes to go. Splash tries to take the deeper line coming through turn 1, but Swift trying to get onto the wider line coming through turn 1 and take the natural racing line, picks up the speed, and Splash is left gaining up the hill and tries to get under the Frutera sign there. Splash with the purple first sector. Palmer, by the way, 27.9 out on track. We'll see what the gap is out on track actually between these two. Palmer's at that lap time, fastest lap around, 5 tenths between the times out on track. Now that normally means these guys only gain by about 2 or 3 tenths out on track. The lap times aren't really sufficient enough for Palmer to get in, yet he sets a purple middle sector, and yet the gap still begins to close down. But but Black up the hill, I think, has got this nailed on now for the lead of the race and for the win. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, we will have 3 more laps to go here at the Red Bull Ring. Certainly for the leaders, we'll have the final 3 laps to go, and we're going to go up to around lap 27, I think. So Black leads, Palmer 2nd, Tyson 3rd, Keelan 4th, Rotary in 5th. Swift has disposed of Splash now in 6th. Splash struggling maybe with the overwearing tyre wear. You can see the difference actually in Swift's tyres. He pitted later on and is coming into play very late on, and you can see the rear left of Splash's car. Only 3 tenths off his personal best in the end, 28.999, but Splash is overwearing that left rear, and that really takes the effect, I think, out on track. That tyre really takes a big battering, I think, out on track in terms of the tyre life around here at the Red Bull Ring. Normally within Formula 1, I would be saying that the soft compound of tyres would wear off at about 5% per lap. That is not realistic here within GT Sport, because you can see it's only on 3 times tyre wear. If it was on like real life tyre wear, like 10 times for example, then we would see about 5, 6, 7% a lap drop in terms of the tyre wear per lap. 3 minutes to go though. We have absolutely flown by in this first race, and it is Black who does lead the way. The gap is stagnant, 5.5 seconds now the gap between himself and Palmer has been outgunned by his old GT3 rival from last season in the SRS Motorsports League T5 Black, and the Swede is going to pick up SDM's first victory as long as he can keep it within the white lines for the next 2 laps. Keelan, by the way, set the new fastest lap of the race with a 27.920, and he's 300s quicker than Palmer's time, and Palmer comes across the line to 28.4 that time around. And there is Keelan in 4th, and he's really driven himself into a very promising position here. Remember, it's a reverse grid race for race 2, so whoever's starting at the back, which will be Hairraiser, he will be at the back. And I think Viper actually just made a mistake there as Hairraiser catches back up to the back of him. Iron Cobra, by the way, is through on Doug. That's a position gain for him. But all the action happening further up the field, and T5 Black down the hill in towards turn 4 for the penultimate lap of the race. We will go on to lap 27, which will be the final lap for these guys out on track. I think everyone is going to be within time. Yeah, everyone will get a final lap in, which is good to see. But T5 Black leading the way. Looking further down the field, nothing really happening. So we'll focus on the leader then, T5 Black, as he now comes round through turn 6 and now through 7 and 8 out on track. And the Styrian Mountain Range plane holds to the first race, of course, and then we go completely to a different time zone and to a completely different race altogether, because we go for wet racing for race 2 in the GT4's. Remember, they stick to the same manufacturers, so the Corvette, the GT4 Corvette, will be run by the SDM team, and by Palmer and the likes in the Sidemax team, they'll be running the Lexus GT4 concept as well. And that is only going to be a 20-minute race. Jerez are smashing the qualifying time for the wet race. Yeah, to be honest, I think really good out on track, and it'd be fantastic to see, obviously, more racing. And it's been, honestly, an absolute privilege to commentate on this race so far. And we are now 45 seconds from the end of this race. Jerez, by the way, is coming through turn 6. Going to be a little bit of a run. Oh, actually, he might have to come into the pit lane here, unless he just commits himself to the line on this lap. But Black being closed down by Palmer. Palmer with the fresher tyres is coming into play, but I think Black now is just easing off on the power. You can see Palmer just trying to gain down the straight. But now Black through. Jerez, by the way, is 20 seconds away from the line. He's coming around through turn 9 now. And judging by this, he could just see it to the line, I think. With 15 seconds to go. No, he's going to commit to the line, I think. Jerez expecting that he's going to continue on, and he does, and it's going to be a real struggle for him to the line. But now the leaders come round through turn 7 and 8. Palmer still closing on Black. Black dips under 10% now of fuel, but now Black coming up the hill, and it's an SDM win here, and they bite back in the best way. But in terms of the team event, it's still Sidemax dominating. T5 Black around the final corner. The Swede is going to win here. Event 2A in the Red Bull Ring in the GT3's. He wins. From Palmer coming across the line in second. Good driver, was driving the socks off in the final laps of the race. Tice is going to be coming across the line in third. Expect interviews from them in just the shortest amount of time. Keelan will be coming across the line in fourth. Really good drive from Keelan out in fourth, with Rotary in fifth. Swift in sixth, Splash in seventh. We see a little bit of a glitch there. Swift there across the line in sixth, Splash in seventh. Marcello across the line in eighth, with Reds coming across the line in ninth, and round the final corner out on track, runs wide. I don't think he'll care about that. Picks up a 5-10 penalty. He's still going to be ahead of Yera though for P9. Yera in P10. Iron Cobra ran the final corner in P11. The extended time, by the way, was extended, which I'm glad to report. Iron Cobra now across the line in 11th. Doug comes across the line in 12th position. Viper across the line in 13th. Very late replacement in for Perked Up. He comes across the line in 13th. And Hairraiser comes across the line in 14th position. You can see them all running the standard lap. He runs out of fuel right at the line, and that is the result. So it's T5 Black who wins, Palmer second, and Tice finishing in third position. And that is event 2A all over and done with. And for Team Simpact Racing and for SDM in this event, it is TSR, T5 Black, who wins and picks up clean race bonus and 2 positions gained from his start time. So T5 Black has won race 1. We are going to get all 3 of them in for an interview. I will be reliant on them coming into the party rather than me trying to interview them through the party system. So hopefully we are going to be getting Tice, Palmer and Black in respectively for their interviews out on track. And fantastic racing there from both SMM and SCM. Think of a really good race compared to that, and yeah, we're going to be seeing a little bit of a break. I think we're going to be starting around 7:10 if I'm not mistaken for the next race. It's about 15 minutes break, 5 minutes for the interviews, 10 minutes for me to get a drink and whatever, and then come back for race 2, which is going to be the GT4's, of course, in the wet. And I'll be reliant on seeing Palmer and Black join the party, but I do believe we are now getting them into the interview room for the next... Oh, we're waiting on Black, I think, to join us. Hopefully he knows and he's understood the message that he's going to be joining me for an interview. But in the meantime, I will take the 3rd placed man out on track SMM_Tice78. Tice, you were well up there within the vanguard. How were you out on track?
I was good with the two-stop. It was a good strategy, but just like crossing some of the SDM guys, we really saw a lack of, how do you say it, sportsmanship. I just really got not just hauled up, but hit several times, and we really weren't happy about them not serving that penalty where they should.
Yeah, I saw that on stream, so it will be put forward to the stewards for drivers not serving up their penalties at the correct point out on track. Obviously, might have been misunderstood within the driver's briefing, but still, a really positive race result from you. Palmer obviously finishing in second as well. Did you think you had the pace in terms of the strategy out on track, because you got really outdone by Black in the end?
Yeah, I mean, it was a good try from him. We really don't know how he does that in his tires. we'll see at some point, I think.
We shall see indeed, and yeah, it's going to be fascinating, I think, for the second race. Just your thoughts actually going into the second race. We are changing it up, of course. You have just changed the race settings out on track, which enables us to be now in a full reverse grid format, and indeed for a full wet race. And this is going to be fascinating, I think, because I've never commentated on a wet race before around this track.
It's going to be a thing, yeah. The curbs are really slippery, as you find out in practice. We'll see what's going to happen.
We will see what is going to happen out on track. Thank you very much, Tice. I'll let you go back into the Sidemax party. And also joining me within the commentary box here is the P2 man, Palmer, out on track. And Palmer, you had the race pretty much with one hand grasped all over it within the first half of that race. And same question applies, how did Black outdo you?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely had the pace to win today, but yeah, I think after that first penalty, like the plan was always to do the two-stop, because with how the tyre wear was on the Lexus, we thought that would be much faster than one stop, but of course that wasn't the case. Yeah, of course I do kind of regret was getting those penalties, because of course, you know, I had to serve them, which, you know, like a 5/10 penalty actually equates to about 1 second loss of time, because of course you have to get back up to speed. But nah, I mean, to be honest, you know, once again it's a massive points haul for Sidemax, and you know, once again on the podium, so very happy about that. Of course, yeah, of course, you know, I would have liked the win, but you know, P2 is still really, really good.
Yeah, P2, great result from you. And just to come on to a little bit about your rivalry between Black and yourself. Black took the title, I do believe, in the SRS Motorsports League. So surely there was a bit of reminiscence about that, I think, with you guys batting early on.
Yeah, there definitely was. And, you know, I said in the Sidemax chat, you know, like, you know, I'm not going to catch T5, and they kept reminding me that, you know, of course it's a team's event, but, you know, of course I wanted to beat T5, you know, for that sort of personal sort of reason, and just to show that, you know, I'm not a slouch, you know, ever since the season, but yeah, of course, you know, it's very different with strategy as well, because of course we've never done a 40-minute race, and of course got a 20-minute race now, so you know, and I mean, of course, you know, completely different track. Of course, I know what T5 is like in the wet, in that Corvette, because it's Group 4, so you know, none of us really know what any of our opponents are going to be like.
Yeah, just some thoughts about this second race, actually, because we are in full wet conditions. How are you going to try and overcome that deficit from yourself and Black? Because Black is an awesome driver within the wet, and I know he's here in the party, you can hear me saying that. But how are you going to outpace him and possibly outdo him, especially with a reverse grid race?
Well, of course, I know that I'm starting ahead of him, and yeah, I'm not really too sure. Of course, we're going to have a chat in the Sidemax party about how we're going to get through the SDM guys, and that, or if we can get through the SDM guys. But to be honest, yeah, I'm not really too sure. Because it's pretty much a sprint race, we don't have to pit or anything. It's definitely going to be an awesome battle. So I'm going to have my defensive gloves on for this race.
Defensive gloves on. I hope your mum will get them out the freezer for you so they're prepared out on track tonight. She'll take kindly to that comment, I'm sure, as well. Thank you, though, Palmer. I'll let you go into the Sidemax chat again.
Thank you very much.
And now we move on to our winner of that first race of Event 2A. It is TSR T5 Black. How important was that win for the SDM crew?
I think it was pretty important. Because, yeah, I don't know, the other guys starting to, having trouble in the back there, so I think this win means a lot to the SDM.
Yeah, it was a really good race from you, and I'll ask the same question that I did to Palmer. There must have been some reminiscence between you two battling out on track, because I couldn't take my eyes, honestly, off the action. It was that good. And did you ever think that Palmer was just going to lunge one down the inside, both of you make contact, and then Tice would come through to take the lead of the race?
I did have my eyes on him. I didn't know where he was at all the time, so I'm not that afraid to go on the ice outside in the corners. So yeah, you can happily throw it on the inside if you want to.
Well, you've now let that slip, so if he's watching now, you might be in for a bit of a rough ride, I think, within the second race. But coming on to the second race, actually, Event 2B, here, of course, at the Red Bull Ring, 20 minutes worth of racing. How prepared are you for the wet conditions?
Going from the Group 3 cars on soft to the wet in Group 4 is ridiculous. Yeah, it will take maybe 5, 6, 7 laps to get up to pace, I think.
Well, it's going to be a fascinating race, and with it being a reverse grid, all of our viewers are going to be in for an absolute treat. But Black, I will let you go, and...
Thank you.
Very welcome.
Yep.
And I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, we can get a word from the SDM team captain as well. Even though I wasn't meant to do this, I'm going to anyways. SDM Reds, how was your race out on track?
So for my race, I of course didn't have a very good qualifying start. I did have an excellent race start though, which was quite a little bit redeeming as well. From P13 all the way to P7, by the halfway point of the lap, which I was very happy about, and thought I could be able to kind of keep up with the top guys, Swift, Tice, Palmer, and all of those guys, including Splash and T5 Black, who were all very good here today. But midway through the race, I was getting a little pushy from Rotary, and at one point I did get bumped wide, and he did give me the position back. So my side of things weren't quite too happy with the push, with the too aggressive driving, with getting bumped off and stuff like that. Because I know Doug at one point he got dive bombed by, I believe, 2 SMM guys, and was like regulated all the way down to last at one point. So I know he wasn't particularly happy with that. But as a driver myself, I just did what I could. One, stop the race, and then get eventually into P9. Of course, I tried doing the best that I could to defend against some of the guys, with the SMM guys. Of course, well, outside of the argy-barginess that did occur in the first race, very talented race team. They're very good guys, but I think we just had one leg up on them today with T5 Black's race win here today. Yeah,
T5 Black taking that race win. Onto the second race, what is the SDM game plan? Are you going to let that slip for us live on stream?
Well, first of all, I'm going to say from a single driver standpoint to myself, I am not very good in the range. So I will make that very clear out to everyone. So I'm just going to try not push, but rather defend, because being defensive and race pace are kind of my two big traits. Hopefully I can use those to the best of my ability. Of course, like we said, it is a reverse grid, so we will have more cars at the front this time, hopefully to try and counteract the points deficit that most of the team did face today. And hopefully we can try and sweep the weekend here today.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. I shall let you go and get prepared.
Thank you very much, James, and I'm looking forward to event 2B of the weekend.
Exactly. See ya.
Take care.
And that was SDM Red. And what I'm going to do, because the race start is still around 3.5 minutes away, we'll cut on board with the action out on track. Viper currently quickest within practice. Yera, in fact, currently quickest within practice with the 146.8 out on track. The grid, of course, is reversed. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take myself for some refreshment. So I shall be back in time for the race start. And I am back, and we are ready now, hopefully, for race 2 to begin. We're just still a couple of minutes away from the action progressing out on track. Of course, it is full wet conditions here in terms of the action for event 2B, and God knows what we can expect out on track. But currently in practice, as I'm a little bit out of breath, Yera with a 46.8 out on top. From Keelan in second, Viper in third. You can see the rain falling. This is as close to sunset as we'll get, but we are now ready to begin a minute early. We are now ready to begin the event out on track, and event 2B is about to get underway. 20 minutes worth of action. As you can see, it's not going to be that dry out on track, and in fact it's going to be full wet conditions for 20 minutes worth of action, and goodness knows what we can expect. SDM fill out 5 out of the first 6 positions out on track, and now it is time to go racing once again for essentially race 2 of this evening's event. So now we wait on the drivers. You'll hear the revving engines come on as we are about to get underway for event 2B, the GT4's around here at the Red Bull Ring. And with full start checks, it's lights out and away we go. And Doug gets a very good start, so does Yera. Yera gets a tremendous start off the line, as I will split out quickly into spectate cam, running up towards turn 1. Tice gets a tremendous, really bad start down at the rear, but Yera through up to second. Good start from Spith on the grid, so he's already made up 3 positions, but Doug leads. Running up the hill in towards turn 3. Doug leads from Yera in second. Hellraiser in third. There's Iron Cobra. Marcello right on the back of these guys as well. And now the Lexus peering down. Look at the size of the Lexus compared to the Corvette. Marcello down on the inside line. Hellraiser tries to have a go at Yera as well, but great move there by Marcello. He's up into 4th position. Running out wide there, I think, is Swift. Viper runs him out wide, and now Splash is having to fight off the attention of Palmer, who's already up into P10. Great start for Palmer, running down the hill. He's on the inside line now on Splash, running now through the mist, through the spray, down in towards turn 4. And Palmer is going to back off this. Oh, there's a bit of contact in the back end. Splash over Kooks it slightly, and now Swift is back down into P9 because Palmer's through, and Reds is struggling for a lot, and the Holden brothers go side by side. Viper and Reds, but currently out in front. Doug leads, and they prioritise the exit. Coming through turn 6. Yera second, Hairraiser third, Formula March in fourth, with Iron Cobra fifth. Viper 6th, Reds in 7th, Palmer up to 8th, with Swift in 9th, Splash in 10th, Keelan up to 11th. T5 Black is really having a hard time of things, and don't think he's going to be winning this one from that far back. And now Tyson Rotary go side by side, running up the hill in towards turn 9. They're not going to go side by side, and I think Rotary is going to back off, and indeed Tyson is up into 13. But Doug leads the way, 0.8 of a second. Yeah, we're getting very sideways there now. We're running on board with Hairraiser, coming down the hill. Or down into the dip, coming up the hill in towards turn 1. Already nearly 2 minutes through of this sprint race between the Corvettes, of course, and the Lexuses, between SMM and SDM. And Doug leads. Yera second, Hairraiser in third. Hairraiser will try and get closer to Yera, who runs up the hill. And it looks in the wet conditions that they are nullified in terms of the speed. But in terms of the slipstream, Hairraiser getting slightly closer. Marcello right on the back as well, getting a lot closer. He's got to try and dive it down the inside, the Italian. He's going to have to sit tight and not go for the move there. Was now Hairraiser. Oh, so Hairraiser spun. Hairraiser spins. Iron Cobra's now through. Hairraiser now dropping down the field. Reds right in front of him. He'd be wondering why Hairraiser is there. Here comes Palmer, though, right on the back of Hairraiser as well. So Hairraiser losing 4 positions there. Down from 3rd, down to 7th. And now Palmer switches to the inside line. Don't think he's going to go for the move there on Hairraiser. Of course, these guys have got a break earlier. Palmer into the back of Hairraiser. Just overcooks it slightly. And now Reds and Hairraiser really struggling, and they're holding up Palmer an absolute treat. 5 seconds of the gap to Doug. Doug, though, leads. Yera second, March in third, and then still in fourth it is Iron Cobras. That was a lunge round the outside, possibly from Splash on the back of Swift. He goes sideways, drifts their car through, and they're trying to take as little line as possible. Round on the outside, Swift gets a bit of a tap from Splash, tells him to move on, and Swift now gets a better run and splashes sideways. Black is through on the outside line. Gonna be Splash struggling with the Corvette out on track, but Doug leads at the end of lap 2. Now trying to lunge it down the inside line as Hairraiser on Reds. Not quite close enough, but Yera in second is now 1.1 seconds off, and the Corvette at this point onwards I think has got a distinct advantage down the straight. But Doug, fastest up the race, 46.7 leads. Run up the hill now in towards turn 1 once again. And Doug runs out wide. So does Yera, really running out wide in these wet conditions. Formula March in third, Marcello there in third, Iron Cobra fourth, Viper in fifth. Here comes, though, Reds to the... sorry, this is Viper on the left-hand side of Iron Cobra. I apologise. P4 and P5, and now Viper lets him through. So Iron Cobra through, and he's up to P4. Marcello has got a penalty. Viper lunges it down the inside line. Tries to get the car stopped. Going to be very close. And Viper, taps the rear. Down on the inside line, was never going to work, but now the Corvette looks like he might have the drag. Down towards turn number 4, out on track, Iron Cobra trying to make it 3 wide, gives a little bit of a tap to Viper to send him on his way. Viper now down on the inside line for SDM, SMM, Marcello on the outside line, and it's Viper through, up to P3 he goes, and Palmer making good eye-catching progress just in behind these guys, out on track as well. He's got his old friend and rival, T5 Black, all over the back of him as well. Doug, though, and Yera have gone out in front. 1.6 seconds the gap. Doug is really excelling in these conditions out on track. This is really spicing up to be a good race. Yera in second, but look at how far they're clear. Viper struggling to traction off turn 8. And now Marcello right on the back of him for 4th. Iron Cobra gives the flash of the lights in 5th. There's Reds, there's Swift, there's Palmer, and there's T5 Black all over the back of him. Coming up the hill now. Tice as well, right on the back of T5 Black. Hairraiser down into 11th after an earlier mistake. He's got Yera, I think, Keelan all over the back of him, and Rotary all over the back of him as well. As now, through the final corner, here comes Palmer on the back of Swift, and I think we might see a change. We're going to see a change possibly as well, with Marcello right on the back of Viper, trying to go around the outside through turn 1. Not quite close enough. They're sideways, both the Corvettes. Marcello runs out wide, gives Iron Cobra now the run of the race, possibly onto the back of Viper. Viper will get, Iron Cobra will get the toe of Viper, but Marcello cuts in front and nullifies essentially that slipstream, but he's still on the outside line. We see Reds serving up a penalty there. And down the inside goes Marcello. Down the inside of Viper, great move by Marcello, shoves him out wide slightly, but that's the run of the race. And now Iron Cobra falls nearly onto the grass. He pushes that Corvette off and nearly taps the back of Marcello. And now, side by side, running down the straight now. Marcello on the outside line, Iron Cobra on the inside line. Viper's trying to thread the eye of the needle down through the middle, but not quite close enough for Marcello. Switches it back, beautiful stuff, and again, just pushes Iron Cobra out the way, but switch back to absolute perfection, and Formula marches now through, and he's up into P3, Viper into P4, and Iron Cobra has lost 2 positions, down into P5 he goes. Reds holding up Swift, Palmer, T5 Black, Tice, this gap. Now as Keelan launched it down the inside of Hair Raiser, can he get the move done? Keelan on the inside line, it's going to be very close between these two. Can he get the job done? No, I think Hair Raiser's going to hang on, or is he? Keelan is through. Keelan is through. Round on the outside line, gets the traction. Hair Raiser catches on the curb. And Keelan through, and he's up into P11. T5 Black is under pressure now from Tice. Tice right on the back now, running up the hill. Really good action currently out on track in these wet conditions. We're nearly 8 minutes through already. This race is absolutely flying over. Sideways moment there further up the field. I think that might have been from Viper, if I'm not mistaken. Iron Cobra as well. Now pushing for position, but here is Reds under pressure from Swift, and Swift now switches to the outside line. Can Swift get the switch back down the inside line? He's actually going around the outside of him, coming through turn 1, forced out wide completely. He'll go off track. He will have to serve up a penalty possibly for that. He rejoins track, contacts Palmer on rejoining, and now T5 Black is all over the back of these guys. Well, they're all happening further down the field. Doug, by the way, and Yera have absolutely spread eagled the field further up the run, and now Palmer tries to go down the inside line of Reds. T5 Black, a little bit of a ghosting system failure there. That was Swift, I think, going around the outside there on Palmer. And now T5 Black in a bit of a side max sandwich here. He could be blocked in. Keelan is quite close as well as Hair Raiser, I think. But Tice now to the inside line. Swift down the inside line. Oh, and he careers into the back of Reds. Palmer now down the inside line, and Reds has been sent spinning. And that is not what you like to see between the guys out on track. It might be a team event, it might be wet out there, but there's still respectful driving to be followed by both drivers. And Swift down the inside line, looked like he overcommitted that slightly. He's really struggling in the wet conditions, sends Reds round, and now Reds is back into P12 and has got it all to do once again. As Keelan tries to go around the outside of Hair Raiser, gets caught on the marbles on the outside, but not quite close enough. But Palmer under pressure, here comes T5 Black. T5 Black then on the back. Doug, by the way, is leading considerably from Miera. T5 Black around the outside through turn 9. No way can he get this move done. He's now on the brakes, down in towards turn 10. He runs out wide. He's going to give Palmer the position, and now Tice is going to have a say in all of this as well. He gets the better run out to 3. And now Tice to the inside line. Coming now through turn 1. Black switches. Tice has to switch to the outside line now. Run up the hill and towards turn 1. We're nearly halfway through. Black down the inside line on Palmer. Black has to cut the corner. Tice now really fighting the car. Lexus against Corvette. It's a drag race now up the hill, but I think Tice is going to have the run with the slipstream. Look at Swift and Hair Raiser. Hair Raiser coming back into play as well. He's up into P9, really excelling in these wet conditions, and it's 3 wide up the hill between Keelan, Swift and Hair Raiser. Hair Raiser to the inside line. Keelan's trying to go for the overlap around them both. Swift through the eye of the needle, and somehow Swift has only lost the 1 position possibly to Keelan. And now Hair Raiser is through and he's up into P9. T5 Black on the back of Tice. Tice is now through on T5 Black up into P7. He goes up the hill into turn 3. Goodness me, all the action is happening further down the field. Everything else though is spread eagle. Oh, and running wide there is Hair Raiser. Gives the run to Keelan on the inside line. Swift as well, just in behind, has lost the 2 positions. I think he actually gave Hair Raiser the run of the race there and let him through. And now Hair Raiser down on the inside line. Can he get the car stopped? Careers into the side of Keelan. And it's a bit like bumper cars and demolition derby, to be honest, between these guys out on track. But it makes for good fun and good racing, and hopefully more respectful action out on track. T5 Black now on the back of Tice. And Tice actually gaining the ground run up the hill in towards turn number 9. Halfway through, Doug leads the way. Let's go to the leader. 2.4 seconds. Doug is excelling out on track from Yara in second. Marcello there in third. Set a new personal best. Not a 129 flat, as you see on the right-hand side of your screen. Cobra there in fourth. Viper in fifth. Palmer in sixth. And here comes Tice. T5 Black is coming back at him down the inside line. Could he try and commit it? No, I think he needed... I think he might have ran into the back there of Tice actually running through. Tice takes the overrun through turn 1, and Keelan through on Hair Razor as well. Swift trying to get the run up the hill. Reg, Rotary and Splash all down at the back of the field. They're not in contention, but now up the hill. Probably around 12, 13 laps we're going to get out of this race. Swift to the outside line is purple in the first sector. But I like that from Keelan, but Keelan hangs on to P9. Hair Razor P10, Swift in P11. And I'll tell you what, this is unbelievable. They're side by side now. Tyson, T5 Black. T5 Black now is coming back. SDM against SMM once again. As always with this event, T5 Black down the inside line. Tice cuts across and gets the move done. Hair Razor overcommits it. Keelan is back through and he's up into P9. And now Swift on the inside line might get it up to P10. Hair Razor really struggling with the stability of that car. And Swift is now through, cuts the inside line. Hair Razor gives him a tap in the back, but nothing more, nothing less. And Swift is now through and he's up into P10. Reds after that earlier collision down there in P12. In fact, it was Reds who got contacted, I think, by Swift, not Hair Razor, which I mentioned earlier on. But look at this. T5 Black tries to take the outside line. He's a master of the West. He's really struggling, though, to try and get through the field. This reverse grid race is absolutely sensational in terms of the amount of action out on track. And T5 Black takes a fourth gear coming through and he goes to the outside line. Tice shuts the door. The Lexus looking big, beast of a car in front of the little tiny Corvette. They will go on to lap 8 and Doug does lead the way. I think the gap is slightly reduced to Yera in second. Marcello now is up into third and has got the move done, I do believe, on Viper out on track. And Iron Cobra, in fact, is the one that's right on the back of him. So Iron Cobra, is right on the back of Marcello. They were third and fourth, and now they're still third and fourth and running up the hill. And Iron Cobra now right on the back of Marcello, tries to switch the inside line. Have to make two moves, of course. One to take your defensive line into the corner, and one to take the corner itself. Oh, and Viper runs into the back of Iron Cobra, gives Marcello the run of the race, and now he's through and he's up to P3. Tyson T5 Black is still going at it. Tice runs wide, coming through, and now T5 Black running down the hill in towards turn number 4, out on track. 6.5 minutes ago, just ticking under that. Make your day a happy day. These guys are making my race an absolute unbelievable race. And T5 Black around the outside. Can he get the move done on Tice through the outside of turn 4? He's on the inside line. Tice might have to give up this position. Really smart driving there from T5 Black, and he is through and he's up into P7, out on track. Really good move that, really clean, really good respect between both drivers. They might be driving for different teams, but my goodness me, it is fantastic stuff out on track. There's been a little bit of a glitch there. Palmer has desynced on my screen. Not sure if Palmer might be losing connection out on track. He rejoins and has left the room. So Palmer has gone. Palmer's connection has disappeared, and unfortunately, that now means SMM are down to 6 drivers, and it might be a blessing in disguise for these guys as T5 Black runs wide, off put, I think, with Palmer's disconnection in front of him, and Tice will try and have a go. It's so unfortunate for Palmer, though. 5.5 minutes to go. His internet lets up at the wrong time, and he has rejoined the room. He might come into the commentary box, actually, and we'll talk to him about his disconnect. Hopefully it's just one of those things that happened through GT Sport. T5 Black runs wide. He's picked up a 5-10 penalty, and now Tice gets the run on T5 Black running up the hill. Tice to the inside line. T5 Black serves up his penalty. Tice let through and he's up into 5th. And now T5 Black could be under pressure, possibly from Keelan and behind. T5 Black has used up all of that penalty up towards turn 3. Good to see the correct procedures are being followed. Keelan in P8, Swift in P9. Hair Razor 10th. Swift, Reds in 11th, Rotary 12th, and Splash is into the pit lane. Putting on a new set of wet compound of tyres. No pit stops were due to be made, but Splash clearly feeling at the back of the field he's got nothing to lose, and he rejoins out there in P13. But it is Doug. He leads the way and has really controlled this race right from the get-go. Yeva in second, but an awesome battle now happening. Marcello has not disposed of Iron Cobra just yet, and the Cobra is trying to use that bite and that sting to come back on the back of Marcello, and now Iron Cobra sizes up a move up the hill in towards turn 9. He's got the run, you know. Could he get the move done? He cuts to the outside line. Marcello defends to the inside line, and Marcello hangs on. Iron Cobra runs out wide initially, tries to cut across, but Marcello is hanging on there, the Italian for grim life. And the American of Iron Cobra right on the back, running now down the straight. We have got, I think, 2 more laps to go, possibly out on track. We might have 3 more, in fact. Iron Cobra to the inside line of Marcello. Doesn't commit the move. And we still have a fight for P3, a really good fight for P3 as well. Out on track, Marcello really excelling here. Iron Cobra in 4th, Viper 5th, Tyson 6th, Black in 7th, Keelan in 8th. And now actually, it looks like Swift is on the back of Keelan as well. Tice has not disposed of T5 Black just yet, but you can see T5 Black has got a 5-10 penalty, serves it up in the correct place. And Viper also with a 5-10 penalty, not serving up in the correct place. Runs wide coming through turn 3. And another penalty that might be coming the team, or the SDM team's way, possibly for breakage of the 7 up the penalty rule, coming up in towards turn number 3. Heads and track applies to both races, remember. And Iron Cobra still on the back. The bite of the American Corvette against the Lexus of the Side Max team. Oh, and Iron Cobra gets really out wide. He could drift it actually for P3. He's down on the inside line. Marcello has to sit tight. Now, Iron Cobra fights the car. Little bit aggressive, to be honest. More like touring cars rather than GT4's. And Iron Cobra is through. Marcello will have to complain, I think, about that one, because that was an unclean move. Even though the gap was there, an unclean move was done, and Iron Cobra now is up to P3, but Marcello, knowing him, he is not going to give up without a fight. Viper, Tice now latching onto the back of this as well, possibly. There is Viper. Tice, in fact, is a little way off, but he is trying to latch onto the back of this. Iron Cobra, though, hanging on. Marcello in P4. We have got 2 more laps to go. Doug leads 3.4 seconds, and it will be Doug who's going to come into the interview room, it seems, out in front quite comfortably, out on track. Don't think we'll get everyone round, by the way, on laps. Splash is certainly not going to get round for 2 laps. Rotary, I don't think, will get round, and possibly Reds and Hair Raiser might not either. But down the hill towards turn 4, there's Doug, there's Hair Raiser. Oh, Marcello dives it down the inside line of Iron Cobra, side by side, and Viper tries to get on the act as well. They just lean on each other. Really aggressive racing in this second race. I know it's a reverse grid, but we've got to uphold the standards of professional racing. And Marcello and Iron Cobra just leaning on. Maybe one driver at fault more than the other, I think, as Iron Cobra has completely overshot the corner. And now Viper could get 2 for 1. Viper on the inside line of Marcello, sizes him up, gets the move done. Can he now size up his teammate just ahead? Marcello to the inside line. Viper not all the way across. Marcello is going to come down the inside line. There's going to be contact. Marcello down the inside line. Viper around the outside. And again, Viper just pushed out of position. That might have well been his. He tried to take the natural racing line. It's so difficult to control these cars. And the way to Marcello's round. Marcello is round. Coming through turn number 7 and 8. And Marcello now, from a promising result for the Italian, has now dropped the P9 out on track. And unfortunately for him, he's now going to be prone possibly to Reds and Hair Racer in behind. He might not even get to the end of the race now, but Doug leads onto the final lap. There's Yeva. Look at the gap the two have pulled out, though. Iron Cobra is in 3rd. SDM really dominating in this reverse grid race. Viper across the line in 4th. There's Tice. There's T5 Black right on the back of him as well. We'll flick through who's going to come across the line. Marcello is across the line now. He finishes... Oh, he doesn't finish in P9. Red's in P10. Hair Racer at P11. And I do believe, actually, we've got a final lap for these guys. Rotary comes across the line for P12. Splash will come across the line for P13. That was a bit weird. But Doug does lead down the hill. From Yara in 2nd. Iron Cobra 3rd. Viper 4th. Here comes T5 Black to the inside line, but he picks up a 5-10 penalty. Serves it up. Right on the inside. Oh, there might be contact. Oh, goodness me. It's now put Keelan into play. Keelan now on the back. This is for P6 out on track. Unbelievably, Keelan is still within a chance of getting T5 Black, and T5 Black now under pressure. Keelan, could he launch one down the inside line? He might think second of it. T5 Black cuts across. Keelan into the back of him. Forces T5 Black out wide. And Keelan to the inside line. Just going to have to be very careful. Out on track. Doug, by the way, is coming through turn 8 out in front. And he is going to be the one that wins this one. From Yera in second. Iron Cobra will finish in third. At the moment, yes, he will. But Doug now. Round the final 2 corners out on track. We'll cut back to the Keelan battle in just a second. But Doug, round the final 2 corners out on track. It has been a very good race out on track. Splash has spun, I think, coming through turn 13. But Doug comes across the line, in 13th I should say. Doug comes across the line to win. Here, Event 2B and SDM take both wins here tonight. Yera comes across the line in second. There's yellow flags somehow in this final sector. As Iron Cobra comes across the line to finish in third. SDM Viper for fourth. Tyson fifth. Black in sixth. Hangs on to that position does Tice. Keelan in seventh. Swift in eighth. Marcello and Reds to the line. Marcello, after that spin, recovers to 9th. Reds across the line in 10th. And we wait on Jerez to come across the line and finish in P11 out on track. And that is it for tonight. The 2 events are over and done with. Doug takes the win, Yera second, Iron Cobra in third. Reverse grid race, throwing up a bit of a shocker to be honest, but it is Doug who takes the win, the fastest lap and the clean race bonus as well. Really dropped the socks off that car, and he must have prepared for that surely. Doug takes the win, and shortly we'll hopefully be getting joined by the top 3 and indeed both team captains from the event here tonight. And that is it for tonight. Yellow for event number 3, I can tell you we do go, and let me just get this up in just a second, as just trying to find the event 3 there it is. We're at Le Mans. We are at Le Mans. It's going to be quite different. It's going to be qualification, then Super Pole, and then the race. That is how it's going to operate for November the 1st. It is going to be fantastic action out on track. Top 5 in qualifying will go into a 5-minute Super Pole out on track, and the race length will be 90 minutes. 90 minutes, LMP1. Now the cars, tyre wear and fuel depletion on ×2. Tuning is on BOP on grade 1, of course, and the tyres on racing mediums. That is the event that is going to be happening, of course, next week, pretty much at the later time of 7 o'clock UK time. It is known as 7 o'clock Eastern time on the graphic, but I can tell you it is not. It's going to be 7 o'clock UK time, as the clocks have went back, of course, an hour tonight. But I am joined by the race winner of Event 2B, Doug. And Doug, you just dominated that race.
It was a good race. I mean, unlike the race before, I was running the sort of times I was running in practice all week. The race, but don't know what happened in the first race. I was a second off my time, so I can't explain that. Yeah, it was a good race. Early on, there was a bit of pressure from Yera, but as soon as I gapped him and I kept setting fastest lap after fastest lap after fastest lap, I was comfortable. I just made sure I didn't pick up a penalty. I didn't run wide and get away with it. I kept it clean, kept it going, and yeah, happy.
Very happy, and a second win for SDM on the night as well, after T5 Black's win in the first event, in Event 2A. Must be pleased for that one for the team as well.
Yeah, I mean, race 1 was... I had a few bumps in race 1, but apparently race 1 was a bit pushy all the way through. Race 2, from our boys in the background, there was a lot of pushing, dive bombing and tapping, but you got to expect a little bit in the wet. I don't know to what extent it was for those boys, but well happy for the team with the 2 race wins on a night. I mean, it's a shame we all couldn't get higher up, but yeah, no, really happy for the team, really happy for myself, really happy for Black, really happy for everyone, really good.
Fantastic drive from you. And looking ahead, of course, to Event 3, which is going to be happening next week in Le Mans, the LMP1s, it's going to be fascinating. What are your expectations going into that?
I like the circuit. Don't really know the cars, so I hope to do well. I hope to not be like I've been in the other 2 races at the back of the pack, having an incident and being stuck. So as long as I know what car we're going to be using, get the hang of it. I'm hoping to do well. I'm not hoping to win, but I'm hoping to do well.
Hoping to do well. Well, we'll see if you do well next week, of course, and we might get the announcement of the LMP1 car for SDM later on after the interviews have been conducted. But Doug, I'll let you go and enjoy your evening.
Thank you very much, James. Thanks for commentating, mate.
No worries at all. And I'm joined as well in second place by SMM Yera, the guy that put Doug under so much pressure in the early stages of the race. Yera, you must be happy with your second place.
Yeah, definitely I'm happy. I wanted to win, but Doug had a great pace. I mean, I was doing mid 46 and we were doing the same time. So I did a couple of mistakes, and that it was impossible for me to recover the time lost, even if it was only tenths of a second. But yeah, great race for Doug. Congratulations for the win. And yeah, I'm happy, definitely. I'm happy with this second place.
Yeah, second place obviously going to be a confidence booster as well for SMM. But just talk us through that race, because it must have been really difficult to drive in that. Not only trying to catch Doug as well.
Yeah, it's very difficult to drive because it's very sleepy. And I'm used to drive the Audi, and the behavior of the Audi is very different on wet weather than this Lexus. But yeah, of course it's complicated to drive here. You have to stay focused all the race to avoid mistakes. Even doing that, I wasn't unable to catch Doc, so he did a great race.
Yeah, do you think actually the Corvette had a bit of an advantage in the wet compared to the Lexus?
I'm not very familiar with the Group 4 car, so I don't know which car is best on wet weather. I think both cars were pretty similar. I think maybe the Corvette has more grip exiting the corners, but definitely the Lexus was also very good car.
Yeah, really good to see, and obviously a second place for you on an individual level was great, but on a team level you must be pleased once again with the performance of your guys out on track.
Yeah, maybe it's not our best performance, but we tried to do our best, and the first race was better for us, and the second one, starting at the back of the pack, it's more difficult. But yeah, I think we did a great race anyways.
Yeah, fantastic for the SMM team. And looking ahead, of course, to Event 3 next week in the LMP1s, how do you expect, both on an individual and on a team level, how do you think you guys are going to go on?
I think we have high expectations for the last event. We want to win, and we want to end up on the top positions. And yeah, we don't know the car yet, the brand for the next race, but we will try to get 1 to 7.
I really don't expect nothing less, but I'm sure you're going to have a real good challenge from the SDM boys as well. Yeah, I'll go and let you enjoy your evening as well.
Yeah, thank you.
No worries. And also within the party here is the P3 man out on track, Iron Cobra. And Iron Cobra, you had a really good battle in that last stage of the race with both Viper and indeed Marcello until he spun. Talk us through your race there.
Yeah, I think it was from 15 minutes to go up until the unfortunate incident. It was just back and forth the entire time. I was just kind of buying my time because I think that both of the cars are pretty similar on track. It's just a matter of who can get more grip out of the corners and whatnot. It seemed like I had more grip on exit, but he knew how to cover off any sort of advantage. So it was kind of hard to make a pass, but then when he finally had his little mistake, I just went for it, and I think at that point my heart rate was through the roof. I didn't know what was gonna happen, if someone was gonna miss their braking point, but luckily that didn't happen.
Yeah, you picked up a good P3 there out on track as well, and I rode on board with that battle for probably the entirety of that race. And I've got to be honest, really good racecraft from a majority. Obviously, a bit of banging and tapping is what you come to expect. The stewards might want to have a look, but overall, really good drive from you. And I think it's the first time, if I'm not mistaken, apart from the Shelby Cobra event, I've seen you drive. So just talk us through, to anybody that doesn't know you on the SRS channel, who you are and what you deliver in terms of SDM as well.
I think the only thing I'm good at is the X19 competition. No, I race in VRR and IRS pretty regular in both of those, so I'm not really familiar too much with SRS because I don't race on Sundays, but you know, I'll race anything. That's pretty much it.
Well, looking ahead to Event 3, obviously, with the LMP1s, how do you feel you're going to get on an individual level?
To this date, in every league race I've done, I finished on the podium at Le Mans, so that already puts a target on my back. But I'm not too familiar with the setups for the Group 1 cars, because I don't really do fixed tuning all that much.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating, I think, to see how both SMM and SDM adapt to the change from the GT3's and the GT4's to the LMP1. But Iron Cobra, fantastic race from you. I'll go and let you enjoy evening as well.
Right.
And I believe we've got the SDM team captain here as well, who joins me for a second interview of the evening, you lucky so-and-so, Mr. Trevor Holden. And Trevor, on an individual level, how was your race?
Well, on an individual level, let me just say that there's definitely blood in the water. I got spun the one lap. I don't know who it was, but I definitely saw some side max cars behind me, so for now, I'm not putting any permanent blame on anybody, but that's something I'm gonna have to take a look at on my own. I also did get merch. I think it was coming just before the turn before and entering this third sector. He did run wide, and I was kind of drifting, and he did come slamming into me. And then out of the final corner, I was literally dive bombed into the final corner, and he did force me wide. And then he took a nice place away from me. So I'm not too particularly happy about that. So I'm gonna be looking into that after the race as well. On a team level, though, I have to give massive props to Doug and Cobra and give them credit where it's due. Those two guys, Doug literally drove a race that I've never even seen before, and he gave it everything that he's got. He's a mad lad when given in the right conditions, and today he did absolutely terrific as well. Also to Cobra as well. He put the pressure on a lot of the SMM guys as well. I'll step back a little bit. Give Doug credit to keeping Yuri at bay, keeping him behind as well, and then giving Cobra a fair amount of credit as well for putting the pressure on Merch as well. And so, but yeah, I'd say it was a very, very good showing for the SDM guys. Once again, there was a lot of argy-bargy, as much as the first race, so I think those are going to have to be all looked at as well from a steward's point of view. Remain neutrally and unbiased as well. And I think Bar will be a very busy man tonight. But yeah, just not trying to spur up any hate between teams and whatnot. But there was definitely some incidents on track that are a bit questionable, and hopefully we can get those resolved in the near future.
Yeah, I'm sure the stewards will have a look at it, and the last thing we want to be doing is to draw any bad blood, both on the stream and in personal terms as well, because obviously there was a bit of argy-bargy, we caught it on the stream as well, and the stewards will have a thorough investigation, and any penalties that will follow, you will be notified before the race next week in Le Mans, just to confirm on that. But obviously, you've explained from a team level you were very happy with the result, gave your credit to Doug and Cobra. Looking forward to the LMP1s next week, how do you think the team's going to get on? Because you've still got that mountain to climb to gain on SMM.
Well, today's race is definitely going to help out in terms of points, and the penalties could be a flip of the coin, so anything could happen with that. In terms of the LMP1s, They're amongst some of the best cars that you could drive in the game as well. You know, lots of downforce, a lot of top speed, especially in the Mulsanne straight with the hybrid as well. It's going to be definitely throwing a lot of curveballs, and of course we're driving around the famous Circuit de la Sarthe, well famous to the tradition of the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and I think it's going to be a very spectacular challenge for both teams to tackle against one another and to see who can come on top in the final points in the final event that's double points.
It is double points next week as well, and that's what I forgot to mention about next week's event. The beauty of it is it's double points, and I will update you with the point standings, of course, coming into next week's stream. I'll be taking you through the stream, as always, from 7 PM UK time, not Eastern time, as it shows on the graphics. Somebody needs to get fired for that, I think. But we are done here tonight in the SMM versus SDM event. If you have liked what you've seen out on track, yes, there was a bit of argy-bargy, yes, there was a bit of bad blood, but that's what racing really is at the end of the day. If you've enjoyed it, like, comment, subscribe, take that notification bell so you are informed of when we next go live, and of course when we next go live will be next week, next Sunday at 7 PM UK time for the final event of the LMP1s around the Circuit de la Sarthe at Le Mans. But for myself, James Head, I will bid you farewell for this evening. Please take care of yourselves, please stay safe out there, and I will see you next week for event 3 of the SMM versus SDM event. Goodbye.